23, Jason John was hanging out here at the 512 Cantina. At 2:01, the cameras record him leaving 70 Rainey Street. They said he walks to the water's edge. He throws up on himself and in the water, and then he falls in. He submerges. A witness, a passerby, spotted him just underneath the surface of the water. They launch the boat, they start looking, they go active with the radar, but for whatever reason, they don't find him, even though he's virtually in the same area he fell in, until 8 days later, and he starts to ferment and bloat. And because of his dimensions, his belly is first thing swelling, and it's pushing him up until he's vertical. He was probably within a few hours, half a day at the most, of actually popping the water surface. But the fire department, special operations, rescue, can't find him within 5 yards of where he went in the water. 5 yards in 8 feet of water. But then in the report it says that he's covered in a brownish green substance that is consistent with vomit. And I just don't see how throwing up on yourself, getting in water, how that's the reason that killers put people in water. It destroys evidence. Again, you've also got to take 27 people and a 1 mile stretch of road. It's you'd have to get a Vegas odds maker to tell you what the chances are. So again, $1 million question. What's bringing him down here? He fell in front of a witness at the water's edge. They find Jason out there about 12 feet out, 12, 15 feet out in 8 feet of water. Based on the mother's information from his iPhone watch, he still had a pulse 25 minutes later. So, could the other two guys have grabbed him, killed him, strangled him, thrown him back in the water? In 2 of the cases, Jonathan Honey and Jason John, both of them carried Apple phones, iPhones. Both of them were found on the bodies in their pockets. Both of them had Apple Watches. Both of them register a loud noise that coordinates roughly with the time that the police department says they went in the water. But both of them also show a tremendous amount of time after they supposedly went in the water. The Apple Watch, which receives information from the Apple phone, is registering them with an aerobic level heartbeat. How is that possible? And the answer is it's not. Apple will tell you that phone, the moisture sensors will go off immediately and that phone will shut down. So it couldn't have transmitted that information. Now the police tried to say in Jonathan Honey's case, it was a time zone issue. But Jason shows a 25-minute variation, and he lives right here in Texas, right here in Austin. Here's what I think the timeline more accurately shows. In Jason's case, I don't believe he went in the water when the police said he did, or estimate that he did. I think he was potentially a crime victim, that he was pulled off here. They searched him, took what they could, and he goes from 98 beats a minute on his iPhone to nothing, like he was pushed or held in the water. I think he was probably pulled into this wooded area, robbed of whatever they could take, whatever they could use and not trace back to him. He was an easy victim, easy to handle. He's not an athlete, he's drunk. One of them, while 2 of them are robbing him, one of them runs up here and says, "Oh, this guy fell in the water." That's why you have a 25-minute variation between when the police say he went in and when his heartbeat stops. I wanted to do a distance time test because in the police report it said Jason Johns, from the time he left here till the time there was a 911 call a few minutes after he fell in the water, was 15 minutes. I'm going to start my stopwatch. We're zeroed. Let's go for a walk. And you got to keep in mind that Jason was over 2 times the legal limit. He's hammered drunk. He's got cannabis in his system, and he's got GHB. Jonathan Honey comes down the same exact route. Why are you going to walk hundreds of yards to throw up? Doesn't make any sense. The timelines are so bizarre that, you know, the cops say, yeah, he's in the water, but then we find out that he's got an Apple Watch that says something completely different. Jason's mom said he doesn't know how to swim because he's afraid of water. It's more likely that he would stay away from the water's edge as opposed to walking along beside it. And he winds up right there where that tree is where the 3 homeless guys were. We're at 13 minutes and 15 seconds. And I'm not drunk, and it's broad daylight. But he falls in. This Chris guy hops up. Chris spends 90 seconds to 120 seconds in the water, kicking around, digging around. He hops out, and he runs up through these weeds, over a little wall, and to where the off-duty police officer is. 2,572 feet. So we're about half a mile from where it started. So we're already over a minute from when Christopher says, and the police department says he made the 911 call. So here's where he meets the off-duty PD officer that lets him use his phone. And 17 minutes, 25 seconds. But how does he have a heartbeat? Since they said the call was made here at 2:15, how does he have a heartbeat 25 minutes after they said he was dead and underwater? I'm not buying it. You can't walk that far drunk, in the dark, at night, sick to his stomach, fall in, have somebody search for him, the guy run over here, call 911, in 15 minutes flat. Didn't happen.